Do you think that the people, both children and adolescent stars, who had to go to school and at MGM and had very little experience with their people their own age, had a more difficult time relating as adults?
Whatever you're doing, it's your norm. So you don't. People would say to me sometimes, well, wasn't it terrible that you never went to public school? So how would I know? I went to school in England before I came to America when I was 12. But in America, I never went to. I was tutored the entire time. But that was the norm, and that was terrific.
Well,
for me,
I know that, but Margaret O'Brien said the cutest thing. She said that she was in MGM school with Elizabeth. That Janet and Junie Allison were older, and that Elizabeth turned 18 during the filming of Little Women and didn't have to go to school, so she didn't want to play with her anymore, and she didn't want to play with the chipmunks, and she was really upset because
Margaret was upset.
Yeah, because Elizabeth was starting to look at Peter Lawford and want to hang out with him. Didn't want to play with Margaret O'Brien.
But that's the same. That's the same if you're sisters in a family. That same thing happens. Suddenly your sibling is, well, she's not going to play with me anymore because she's got other things on her mind, right? The same with fellows too. You've got a younger brother. It's that same. It was fascinating to me being in school with people of so many different ages. I also had a wonderful teacher. The teacher at 20th Century Fox, Frances Clampt, is really one of the most extraordinary women I've ever known. And she's still alive and an extraordinary spirit. And I don't know how she managed to deal with, number one, all those children of various ages, plus being in what a lot of people would think is a cesspool. You know what I mean? Not just depending on your view of the studio,
Well, also Dean Stockwell.
Well, Dean is another person who started very, very young, and who is still acting, and very well.
Well, let me just jump now to the people who came, the female actresses who came in the Marilyn Monroe era, who were really hard working, just trying to get a break. Tony Curtis said to me, one of hundreds of people who all got signed to these $50 a week contracts, and most of whom nobody ever heard of, and no one can still really understand why certain people made it and other people didn't. Mitchum told me that he worked on the assembly line with Marilyn in
River of No Return.
He played, but he worked at Lockheed with her.
Oh, yes. Oh, I see. Yes.
Right? And he said that, and I've heard this from other people, that her portrayal now is completely inaccurate because as Norma Jean, not as Marilyn Monroe, she was a shy, just sweet, wonderful, not sex-pot person. Let me just finish.
Yeah.
He said that what happened in her era was that she had to create another person, made up and in the persona of Marilyn Monroe, and whenever she was seen in a movie or publicly, she had to be that other person. Now, was that, do you think, we can talk about Marilyn, but do you think that was also true of the Crawfords and stuff? Do you think they...
Well, certain, in those years, about Marilyn, I knew her before I used to dance with her. And Bob is quite right. She was a very self-effacing, mousy, When somebody is created, spends all that time creating a persona, be it Mae West or Barbra Streisand or Cher or Marilyn or Joan Crawford, you are lumbered with what you have created, and for better or for worse. Now, in those years, all of those larger-than-life stars, the royalty of America, were sequestered in a sense. They were not seen the way they are today. That's why they became so whereby people were breathless about them. We went into huge theaters and saw these extraordinarily original glamour people, 27 times bigger than anything. So, and you never saw them except in a movie magazine or in a newsreel or at a premiere if you went. But it's not like today. When they went out,